Lights out and we're racing in MotoGP here then in the Grand Prix of Germany. It's a brilliant start from pole position once again by Marc Marquez. How aggressive will brother Alex be on the brakes into the first corner? Going a long, long way around the outside. The two Trackhouse are pretty immediately through on Fabio Di Giannantonio. It looks like Ayagura indeed who has slotted himself up into second place. Didier, a poor start, third to fifth.
Yeah, Martin, a very good start. He was briefly up into sixth. He's been passed by Quattro. That's Pecco Bagnaia, I think, being hung out to dry down the Omega curve. He's side by side with Pedro Acosta.
Yeah, going a long way around there. Pecco, wasn't he, down through that turn 3. He drops back across the nose of Acosta. That's getting tight between Martin and Quartararo, two former MotoGP world champions, toughing it out through 6.
Well, the nightmare start that Fabio Di Giannantonio must have feared, being passed by both of the Trackhouse Aprilias. He has now got a major job on. He's got to strike as quick as he can, as Quartararo now gets pushed wide by Martin in the background. Didier with big work to do on that one now.
Through the flares and the smoke bombs go the lead group. Marc Marquez then, just as he was in the sprint yesterday, in position A from pole position. He drops down into turn 12 for the first time of asking. Really good start this from Ayagura as he looks to become the first Japanese rider since 2002 to be on the podium in 3 successive Grand Prix. But Raul Fernandez attacks him at the end of this first lap into turn 13. So Raul Fernandez then now fires the Trackhouse Aprilia up into P3.
Trackhouse versus Trackhouse, and if that battle continues, it might give an opportunity for Fabio Di Giannantonio, but it might also delay him further away from the lead. There's a battle further back. Look, Acosta was attacking Bagnaia for 7th. They have both passed Fabio Quartararo, who's clearly pushed wide by Martin on that first lap. So the Frenchman is now back to 9th.
Yeah, Jack just telling us, confirming us as we thought, Jorge Martinez on the medium rear tyre. It would have been a real left field choice. He's under attack here though from Acosta. Acosta sees that inside line. Nothing that Martin can do about this end. This has been a very aggressive, upwardly mobile start from Acosta then, who fires himself up into 6th place. Bagnaia starting to regroup. He said on Friday it was like he was trying to manage a 300 horsepower dirt track bike around this Sachsenring circuit. So worries issues with the lack of grip. But at the moment, Bagnaia, unlikely he's going to be on the box for the 4th season in a row here at the Sachsenring as he tries to fight his way back into top 6 contention.
Hasn't been Frankie Morbidelli's greatest weekend, and it's continued to go south. He's dropped a bunch of places. He's down to 15th place now. Whether we'll get an idea from the picture here as to where he lost those places. Di Giannantonio had already lost those places to the Trackhouse Aprilia. He's just slow off the line and was already boxed in behind them by the time they ever got into turn 1. Morbidelli's on the outside line, and that's where he gets hung out to dry, and he loses a bunch of places.
Oh, is that Fabio Di Giannantonio? It is Fabio Di Giannantonio's shocking Sunday here then at the Sachsenring has ended in more gravel. He had a huge crash this morning in the warm session at turn 8. The 2026 aero gamble has not paid off. Racing it for the very first time this season, it is through another fast left-hander. This time around it's turn 10. This is 4th gear, even faster than he spilled this morning in the warm at turn 8. Fabio Di Giannantonio then has cracked. It's his first DNF on a Sunday Grand Prix of the season. Big World Championship points slipped through the Italian's grasp. What a terrible Sunday for Didier. Joan Mir's name is tumbling down the timing screens, and it's going to be... Is it going to be another DNF? He is. He's walking away from the scene of another crime for Joan Mir, who's... It's a nightmare, isn't it, Mir? He will tell you that he doesn't settle just for point scoring place. He says, I'm just on the ragged edge, I'm pushing on the limit every single corner, every single lap on that factory Honda. But once again, he throws it to the scenery.
There's a 7th Sunday DNF in 11 starts for Joan Mir. A first for Fabio Di Giannantonio, who's apologising to a team who have already repaired a bike that he broke in warm-up this morning. And Fabio Di Giannantonio won't be leaving here as the World Championship leader. He'll be dropping places in the standings after dropping his Ducati.
This will hurt. This will hurt for Didier. He has been like granite on Sundays for so long. So hard though, isn't it, to go through a full long 22-round World Championship campaign without the odd error, without the odd mistake. But that's a big one, and his first big one on a Sunday so far in 2026. Time will tell just how damaging that spill will be for Di Giannantonio. Time will tell how crucial a potential double win will be here for the 93 and Mark. He leads by just under half a second on lap 9 and 30. We're coming to 3rd race distance completed here in the Sachsenring. And it's very familiar territory, isn't it, for Mark. Leading the way once again here in the Sachsenring, firmly on track firmly on course for that 10th MotoGP success here in Germany.
Very little to choose between the pace of the top 7, who are all pretty much there in one camera shot, bookended by the factory Ducatis of Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia, who are both doing 1:21.5. We've got Fernandez and Acosta on 21.6s, so too Alex Marquez and Ayagura, who's running 4th, second of the Trackhouse Aprilias on a 21.7. Quartararo's going well too, in 8th place on his Yamaha. He's also in the 1:21s at the moment. He's now starting to build up a bit of an advantage over his fellow Yamaha of Jack Miller, who now runs in 9th place. He is trying to keep Marini and Binder back.
Which would be a first top 10 finish of the campaign for Jack Miller. Brilliant performance so far by him. Brilliant once again, and faultless and flawless once again by the rider who's on screens. Marc Marquez leading the way. Another lap is going to be in the books for the world. Alex Marquez has crashed out. Alex Marquez then has dumped the Gresini Ducati out of second place, trail braking up the hill into the second gear. 100 kilometers an hour, turn 13. It's an unlucky turn 13 for Alex. Pushed into this mistake by the metronomic consistency of Marc at the front. Down then goes Alex Marquez, out of contention here. And once again then, we're going to have potentially another Trackhouse double podium here, because that has pushed Ayagura up into 3rd place. German Grand Prix victory hopes extinguished then for Alex Marquez. 2 big-name Ducati stars down and out of this Grand Prix.
Shows that you can assume nothing, you can take nothing for granted. Even if Marc Marquez leading the Sachsenring feels like the most surefire bet you can find in MotoGP, but clearly is tricky out there, particularly, I guess, if you're following someone, which is the problem Marc Marquez doesn't have at the moment, with the front tyre temperature going through the roof. Whether that played any role in Alex Marquez's crash, only he can tell us. What it means, though, is that there is now a 1.3 second gap behind Marc Marquez to his nearest challenger, which is Raul Fernandez on the first of those Trackhouse Aprilias. That double podium, though, might be coming into some threat now from Pedro Acosta's KTM.
Pecco Bagnaia. I was just going to say, Bagnaia has just found some pretty impressive pace at the halfway point of this Grand Prix. He's now back in the 1:21s himself, which is on par with the top 4, Marc, Fernandez, Agura and Acosta.
This is what it looked like from Jorge Martin off the line. He got himself onto the outside of Fabio Di Gianantonio, who, as you saw there, had already lost 2 places off the line to the Trackhouse Aprilias.
Yeah, did you? As he started going through the gearbox, you could see there he was getting a lot of wheelie, a lot of lift on that front tyre. That's cost him so much momentum. I think Fernandez not get his ride height device disengaged? Yeah, sparks flying off the right-hand side of Fernandez's Trackhouse Aprilia. We saw that an issue, didn't we, about at the halfway point of the Assen Grand Prix for Ayagura. I think though, engaged it by mistake. Those multitude of buttons on it and levers on a modern-day MotoGP bike. I think I just actually engaged it purely out of human error. But yeah, obviously not breaking up. Yeah, the rear ride-out device stuck down there, not aggressive enough on the brakes, was he, Fernandez, into that first corner.
They will all be a thing of the past for next season in MotoGP, the new generation of MotoGP for 2027. 850cc bikes, reduction in aero, and ride-out devices consigned to the dustbin of history. As we look at Raul Fernandez, back-to-back laps now that Bagnaia has taken some time out of Jorge Martin, so the World Championship leader hasn't got that 5th place bought and paid for just yet. The gap now down to 3/4 of a second, with Martin not able to get himself out of the 122s. Bagnaia doing high 21s.
Yeah, he's been on those high 21s now for a good 4 or 5 laps in succession as the factory Ducati rider. He's getting a bit of a kick in, a bit of a humbling once again from his teammate 93 Marc, as we drop down with Fernandez through the 5th gear Ralph Waldman curve. I mean, all this now is a test of the focus, a test of the concentration for Marc. Comfortably clear at the front of this Grand Prix. He has got pace to burn, you feel as well. You do feel if anybody got close to Marc, he'd be able to up the ante a little bit. Felt like, well, Alex and Di Gianantonio said yesterday they felt like, despite the fact he won the sprint in rather dominant fashion, he was keeping something in reserve. There was a bit more in the pocket, another gear should he require it. And it feels like the same fast forward about, what, 24 hours later.
Penny for the thoughts of Marco Bezzecchi watching this at home. I'm sure he is watching somewhere, having undergone successful surgery on that broken collarbone, about to drop behind Marc Marquez in the World Championship. Ultimately, he's got to regroup, I guess, recharge and try and fight back stronger and try and do to Marc Marquez what Marc Marquez has done to him in the World Championship by gaining 100 points or so in the last 4 Grand Prix.
This is so much at stake here for Agura. Toru Okawa, 2002, the last Japanese rider to have 3 successive podiums in the MotoGP World Championship. That is in the hands right now, isn't it, of Agura? Because he's miles clear now of Acosta, who just tried to go with the Aprilias ahead of him. Once again, you have to say, it's the Justin Marks American camp that are giving a bit of a bloody nose to their factory counterparts at Aprilia. Fernandez and Agura trouncing the factory Aprilias once again here, just as they did in Assen.
Yeah, Jorge Martin is 9 seconds off the lead as Agura goes charging in to turn 1. Don't think that was an overtaking attempt by any means, but Ralph Fernandez has seen this movie before and he doesn't want the same ending as Assen.
I don't know whether that was Fernandez just making a bit of a hash of his braking marker into the first corner, or whether Agura was just lightning good on the front brake lever as he squeezed it going into that tricky off-camber downhill first corner. First gear through there, just under 80 kilometres an hour. We're on board then with Agura. He is, without any question, I mean, Davide Brivio has talked recently to Jack down in pit lane. We're under the radar, we're low profile, we're low key in this championship battle. Not any longer. I'm sorry, Davide, to break that news to you, but you are one of the big contenders moving into the second half of the campaign.
Bagnaia once again chasing down Jorge Martin. It just feels as if Bagnaia is having a bit of a go at Martin, trying to catch and go on terms with him, and then letting his front tyre temperature and pressure cool down a bit before attacking again once more. Is this the latest attempt from Bagnaia to call himself onto terms and potentially ahead of Jorge Martin to try and rescue what would be 5th place if he can pass the 89?
Not a lot in terms of the lap times between Marc and the Trackhouse Aprilias behind him. 21.8 from Marc, 21.9s from both Fernandez and Agura. So they're running a pretty hot pace, the 2 Trackhouse boys behind Marc, but the trouble is, they've let him check out almost 2.5 seconds now up the road. This will feel like a long 6 laps or so for Ralph Fernandez as he sees plus 0.79 on the pit board, because he'll know what is coming. It's just a matter of when.
And it could be now, because once again, he's in the slipstream coming towards turn 1. He's right up alongside. This time he can just hang Fernandez out to dry. Fernandez wants to tip it in, but his teammate is firmly in the way, and Agura now moves up into 2nd place.
Yeah, barring that surprise move he made on Acosta at the final corner in Barcelona a few weeks ago. Normally clean as a whistle, aren't they, the moves that Agura makes, as Bagnaia runs over the curb on the inside there in this battle for 5th with Martin. Now there's some important World Championship points at stake here. Agura then will seize outright 2nd in the standings. Unlikely it's going to get any better for him than the 20 points he'll collect for 2nd. But can you imagine if you'd have said to Agura ahead of his 2nd season in MotoGP, we know Marc Marquez has missed a couple of Grand Prix, but going into summer break, Agura will be 2nd and ahead of Marc Marquez in the World Championship. What a story it has been for the 25-year-old Japanese star.
These are going to be 5.5 long laps here for Jorge Martin. It's the shortest lap of the calendar, but it won't feel like it for the current World Championship leader as he is hanging on to 5th place. Bagnaia, I was watching the top left corner of the screen. Bagnaia had a bit of a lunge at him into turn 1, and then we cut to Bagnaia halfway up the curbs on the way around turn 2. Martin and Bagnaia, as mentioned earlier on, this is not their first Sachsenring battle. It's only a point difference between 5th and 6th, but plenty of kudos, plenty of ego too. If we flip this onboard camera around, I think you'll see some steam coming out of Pecco Bagnaia's ears. He's tried at turn 1, tried at turn 2 and turn 3, and he's now tried through turn 11. No success yet to pass Jorge Martin's factory Aprilia. He's got 2 more laps to try and crack it.
You'll be hoping that Martin maybe crashes out late on at the first corner like he did so in front of Pecco when they were fighting for the win here a couple of years ago. No mistakes though from Jorge Martin. He can't make a mistake. If he runs a millimetre offline here or misses a braking marker by half a foot, Bagnaia is going to attack him. So this has been a real top performance by Martin, clinging on for dear life for this 5th place and what will feel like 11 incredibly important World Championship points. At the front, Marc Marquez in cruise control. He's just backing it off now, rolling out of it just to make sure that there are no late concerns for him. Gaps come down to just over 2 seconds between Marc and Agura.
I'm sure Marc will tell us after the Grand Prix that this was far from easy. This wasn't a formality, but boy, does he make winning look so easy. The expensive win that he described back at Brno when he rode out of his skin to defeat Ayagura on that particular day. Marc Marquez doing what he so often does at the Sachsenring. 29 laps completed out front, the 30th to come for a 10th MotoGP win at his beloved Sachsenring.
Has it ever been in doubt for a single second? He has done trebles for fun in his Grand Prix career. This could be his 10th pole position, sprint win and Grand Prix win. Feels like that was written in the stars to do it here at the Sachsenring, where he is going to crush the opposition once again. He has made it look a breeze. It has been anything but Marc Marquez was already, he said pre-weekend, I'm in the game, I'm fighting for the World Championship. A game that's becoming very complicated for his arch rivals. Looking over their shoulders now will be Jorge Martin and Ayagura. They'll see the big threat of the 93 looming large. Martin somehow is still defending that 5th place from Bagnaia.
Yes, Martin looks over his shoulder right now. He'll still see Pecco Bagnaia. Those 11 points still up for grabs. The 25 they've not felt in doubt since the moment we touched down in Germany.
Through turn 12 we go then, just one corner left for the reigning world champion. Marc Marquez, well, he is MotoGP royalty, and he's going to remain on the throne as the undisputed king of the Sachsenring. It's a perfect 10. It's the 10th victory here in the Grand Prix of Germany at one of his favourite circuits. Game on in terms of the World Championship for the number 93. Ayagura leads home another double podium for Trackhouse. Another brilliant day for the American squad. A brilliant day for Ayagura, who now moves up into 2nd in the World Championship on a tough weekend for Italians, Marco Bezzecchi and Fabio Di Giannantonio. Fernandez is 3rd, Acosta 4th. Martin somehow does hold off Bagnaia for 5th place. Lothar Matthäus, German World Cup winning star, waves the checkered flag. But it's a perfect 10 once again for the factory Ducati star, Marc Marquez. He is motoring towards that 8th World Championship once again. He has been simply untouchable, simply irresistible here at the Sachsenring. He joins Giacomo Agostini on 10 wins at the same circuit, equaling the Italian icon who had 10 wins at Amatra. And the winning nowhere near finished here at the Sachsenring is there as he gets the crown, as once again on the throne, crowned the king of the Sachsenring. It is the one and only Marc Marquez.
The reign continues then. Marc Marquez is the king of Sachsenring once more. Trackhouse duo Ayagura and Raul Fernandez round out the podium. Acosta 4th, Jorge Martin 11 important points in 5th, Bagnaia 6th, Quadraro 7th, Marini 8th, Bastianini 9th, and Brad Binder rounds out the top 10 here in Germany.